Namaskaram, peeps. This is Harisha from Melbourne Yatri. Welcome to another tech episode. As you know, I love my A6700. I love my A7 Mark IV. So I'm basically a Sony shooter with two of the Sony cameras, full frame as well as APS-C. I also have a decent range of lenses for my Panasonic G9. And I've been contemplating to actually get another APS-C camera, primarily to actually compare with the A6700 and see how it actually looks like. And I was thinking, should I go for the G9 Mark II, which is a micro four thirds camera? Should I go for a GH7? But then after going through the rabbit hole on YouTube, I finally gave up to all my temptations and bought something. Basically, I rented it out. I did not buy it. I actually rented it out from Ted's. Thanks to Ted's for quickly arranging the camera and the lenses for me, especially the Doncaster outlet. I know there has been a little bit of shortage of Fujifilm cameras as well as lenses going on in the market here in Australia, especially around Melbourne during this time frame in 2024. So without any ado, let me show you what is the one that I actually picked up. I picked up the Fujifilm X-T50. This is an unboxing of this X-T50. I'll be making a much more detailed video as well as comparisons between the X-T50, obviously my trusted A6700, and for some photos, because the A7 Mark IV is 31 megapixel and the X-T50 is actually 40 megapixel. I'm going to compare some photos and videos to see in terms of crispness and in terms of details where it's coming a bit more, as well as trying to see some picture profiles and stuff. And there are a lot more things being spoken about it. I know already people coming from the Fujifilm side where you have already used few Fujifilm cameras. You know what? Why did you buy an X-T50? Why didn't you go for an X-T5? Why did you go for an XS20? I'm going to make a video specifically on that. Please to comment on that video. If you like the X-T50, please do comment on this video, because finally I'm actually trying out a Fujifilm. For a lot of time after walking away from Canon for whatever reasons I've actually listed on in a previous video, I've only stuck to Sony and Panasonic. This is the first time I'm actually venturing out into Fuji, and let's see, hopefully it works, because my father is a very big fan of Fujifilm. In fact, he has a Fujifilm, actually the film camera, going all the way back to 1980s. So let's go through the unboxing experience of this Fujifilm X-T50. This is the first time I'm going through Fujifilm packaging and stuff, and then in the subsequent videos I'll be talking much more in detail about the camera and how it's actually operating, and my view as a travel and freelance content creator, how helpful is this X-T50, or how challenging or quirks it's basically having trying to create content. So this is the packaging. It comes in black, obviously X-T50. Now it was supposed to come with an X-mount 15 to 45 f3.5 to 5.6 OIS optical image stabilized power zoom lens. I actually swapped it out for the 16 to 50 millimeter lens, which is basically starting from f2.8 if I'm not wrong, because I like that 16 to 50 range rather than the 15 to 45 from f3.5. And the other reason being is I do have a Tamron 11 to 20 millimeters f2.8 for my A6700, and that's something that I'm very interested in comparing and seeing, at f16, how does Tamron's lens on an A6700 compare to X-T50 with its own native lens at f2.8. But that's going to be in a future video. Going forward with this, it's a pretty neat boxing, if you say. It's a silver color one, so I'm going to just open it up. Ta-da! So this is what is there. So obviously there is some amount of what you call specs and paperwork provided. That's predominantly got to do with Japanese, English, and other languages. Obviously I'm not going to read most of it. Now there is something called for an exclusive free trial. Not sure. Oh, of Capture One. That's very interesting. Never used that program. I'm more of a Lightroom and Luminar Neo guy. I'm not much of a Capture One guy. I did try the program once long ago, like 4 years back. For some reason, I did not like it. I don't mind giving it a shot, but I guess I'm going to stick to my Adobe Lightroom and Luminar Neo for now. And then yes, some more packaging. Bring your photography to light and start your exclusive free trial for Capture One. Looks like Capture One is trying to run some kind of a collaboration or a partnership with Fujifilm. So that's the reason, it's literally like I get 2 pieces of paper saying, start your free trial. But if they're giving a free trial, I don't mind using it and see, how it goes, right? You'll never know unless you try something. That's the reason I'm trying Fujifilm. So this is the 16 to 50 millimeter lens, XF zoom lens. I'm guessing this is a weather resistant one. Funny. The X-T50 is not weather resistant, so don't see a point in that. This is made in Philippines. So it looks like this is an internal zoom completely. So it's like a power zoom. So nothing is protruding out. And you do have a clicking actually for the aperture ring. And then once you open the cap, this is how it looks like. So it says Super EBC XF. Not sure what it means. I need to learn that. 16:50 millimeters, f 2.8 to 4.8, R, LM, WR. WR stands for weather resistant. Luckily, it's a 58 threading for this, for any kind of CPL filters or ND filters or any of these. And then it says obviously Fujinon aspherical lens. So I'm assuming it's should be pretty good. So that's one. And then on this lens, the only other thing that I can actually find is this button between I think A and as well as this. So it looks like this would actually control your aperture manually in this setting and then automatically in this setting. And there is a bit clicking to actually this aperture. So if I do that, yeah, the clicking is actually continuous. So you can't declick it. You actually have a strap, camera strap. I normally don't use camera straps. I have something like this that I actually have from Peak Design and a couple of other manufacturers that I buy from Amazon. I'm going to link in my description for what I actually bought. It's just a rope kind of arrangement for your hand grip. All you have to do is put your hand in and it just grips up. And the good thing is you get quite a few keys to rotate between different cameras. So this is something that I always have with me, and whichever camera I'm carrying that day, I'm going to just slide this key in and it would just lock and it's able to hold my entire camera's weight. This is an A6700 with a Viltrox 20mm f2.8 lens, one of the sharpest and smallest lens which is actually out there. Watch out for its lens review that's going to come up in the upcoming few weeks. Then what else is there? Thanks Fujifilm for giving the lens hood to it. So I'm going to all do is basically take the lens up as usual, fold it back and stick it onto it so that it's always there and it's not going anywhere. I always prefer to have my lens hood on my lenses because by mistake once I've actually put my lens hood away for my 16 to 35 millimeters Sony f4 lens and I've actually lost it and I was not able to recover it till now. So from then onwards, lessons learned, always have the lens hood on the lens. Continuing with our unboxing, you have few stuff here. So it looks like, oh, that's the battery. Very interesting. I mean, when compared to Sony batteries, these batteries looks pretty small. Oh, it's just a 1200 milliampere battery. That's it. It's not even 2000 milliampere battery. It's 7.2 volts. Pretty small battery if you ask me. Finally, yeah, you basically have a USB-C charging cable. And then you have, oh yeah, this dongle. This is very interesting with Fujifilm cameras. You would actually get this dongle, which is USB-C to an audio jack, 3.5mm audio jack, and that will actually allow you to go ahead and connect your audio devices for monitoring or actually recording up there. Then, finally, drum roll please. So that's the X-T50 in all its glory. So it looks like this is like a lens release button. This is the focus selector button, Obviously single continuous, as well as you have the red light for trying to focus. You have a front dial here. You have quite few dials here actually, 1, 2 and 3. Looks like this is your film simulator, the most controversial one that everyone talks about. This seemed to be your shutter release. No, sorry, this seemed to be your aperture or shutter release. I'm assuming this is shutter release. Sorry guys, I'm new to Fuji entire body and everything. So it's always fascinating to look at it in YouTube videos, but this is the first time, believe me or not, I'm holding a Fujifilm camera in my hand, which is actually digital, not the film one which actually my dad owned from 1980. So very, very interesting, if you see the body and stuff. As usual, as my A6700, it's having dingly danglies on the side, on both the sides for your straps. I'm guessing we can actually remove that and put one of my easy slot in, slot out kind of tags above there. There is a drive button on the back, which also doubles as a delete. There is a display button on the left. Not sure what this wheel for. There is a sensor up here, maybe to look through the electronic viewfinder. And then there is an autofocus on off. And there is also a wheel button in the back, which is also clickable. Interesting. There is a wheel button in the front, which is also clickable. Interesting. There is this button up here. Not sure what it does, but that's an interesting button there. And then obviously you have a fixed button for your exposure control. Now I need to figure out what this is for. I know A stands for automatic. I'm guessing this is actually your shutter speed and not your aperture. But if anyone knows, let me know. I'm going to read the manual and trying to figure out. I guess this is one of the cameras where I need to read the manual. Otherwise, I'm going to be in real problem because I'm not used to, Fujifilm. But it looks pretty compact, for a camera of this size. It looks very, very compact if you see. Not that big. I mean, if you see beside my A6700, I mean, it is looking a bit compact actually above there. Forget about the EVF, which is protruding in the A6700. And in terms of weight also, I think maybe because of the cage, I need to figure out a cage for this. So if anyone knows a good cage design for an X-T50, please do put it in the comments below. So you have the AEL, you have a joystick, which is also clickable, mobile. You have a menu and display black, which is pretty convenient if it's actually here. So the display looks like, yeah, it can do flat like that. So you can shoot it in that way. You can shoot it in this way. Will it actually pop out? No, it doesn't pop out. No. So it's just up and down. Okay, fine. No. That's fine. So on the left hand side is where you have your IOS. So you have mic button right on the top. You have the USB-C for charging, as well as, if you want to add an additional audio port for monitoring. And this is a micro HDMI port right above there for an output. And on this side, there is nothing apart from a Q button. Very interesting. You have a hot shoe mount here. Looks like this is a flash. Hey, funny little flash being hidden there. Yeah, I mean, pretty good, man. And in the bottom is pretty common. I mean, if you see here, right? So you basically just have a 1/4" mount above there, and the the battery door. I am presuming the memory card would go in the battery door. Yeah. So you have the battery in here, and you have the memory card slot below right here, and it goes up to UHS-2, the memory slot. So that's pretty good. All in all, I really like it, man. It's a pretty compact camera right in front of you. Let's put on the lens to it and see as part of the final process of unboxing. So this is the 40 megapixel sensor, which is actually inside the X-T50. Pretty compact machine. I hope it's another pocket rocket like my A6700. So it'll be a real cool comparison between them. I know from a price standpoint of view, this is a bit more expensive. In fact, it's $1,000 more expensive. This particular combination. The reason being is the lens is supposed to be a few $100s more expensive in Australian when compared to the regular 15 to 45 f3.5 lens, the OIS lens. Whereas I got my A6700 on a sale for less than $2,000, which is roughly like 1,996, like $4 less from Ted's. And now this combination as it stands, the X-T50 and the 15 to 50 millimeter f2.8 I think a f4 lens, this is standing at $3,099.95. It's a bit expensive than my A6700, but it comes with the 40 megapixel camera. If you ask me, it looks very small, it looks very cute. I do get the hang from the Fuji family of why people love this, to actually hold them and use them for travel photography and content making and many other places, so this is really compact if you ask me. Just to show you side by side, this is my A6700, okay, 26 megapixel up there, but it's a beast. It's a pocket rocket, can shoot all the way up to 4K 120 frames per second, whereas this guy can actually shoot 6K and can also shoot DCI 4K and 4K, but only up to 60 frames per second. So there are some quirks. If you are not looking for 120 frames per second, then the X-T50 could be an alternative for someone who's basically using a G9 Mark II, because you're getting almost a similar kind of frame rates, except frame rate for 4K 120 frames per second. Obviously, this is not an open gate, whereas the G9 Mark II is an open gate. Yeah, true. See, I'm just exploring options, man. I mean, there is no right or wrong answer, especially when you're creating content on the fly, right? People are creating content right from their mobile phones all the way to, fancy cameras like this, which cost an arm and a leg. But if you see these two, the FX50 and the A6700, they're almost all of the same size. For some reason, I find the X-T50 to be much more compact and a bit lightweight. Maybe that'll all change once I put a cage around it when compared to my A6700. But I think the battery of A6700 is also beastie if you ask me. See, let me just pop that open to show you the difference. So this is my Sony battery right here. And this is the Fujifilm battery right here. See how thin they are? This is how thin they are, the Fujifilm battery, and how small it is when compared. And then in terms of ampere hours, this is a 2280 milliamp hour battery. This is just a 1200 milliamp hour battery. So let's see which battery lasts more. My bet is actually on the Sony, but once we compare it, we'll come to know, So the notch always faces top, and then you just put the battery in, and that's it. And then you put a memory card in there, close it, and then switching it on for the first time. Ta-da! Switched on. Okay, it shows English. So obviously I have to go through the entire settings, and I am GMT plus 10 in lovely Melbourne. Man, why is Sydney coming and not Melbourne? Yeah, and then daylight settings on, and obviously today's date I'm going to put in there. And yeah, got to do the entire smartphone setup the shebang of it, and let's see what happens. Auto temperature off. I'm going to take it obviously to high. The max temperature limit will be higher when selecting this option. Yeah, okay, I understand it. So it restarted it, says no storage media, 12,800 ISO, because it's an auto ISO, and then there we go, it's showing the whole thing. Obviously not much battery life left, so I'm going to charge it anyway. All in all, I'm very excited for the X-T50. I really like it as my first impressions, whether it's the lens, the 16 to 50, it looks pretty compact, whether it's the body itself, the X-T50 looks very interesting. Trying to learn the Fujifilm way of trying to shoot and not the regular way, which most of us are used to. So I'll keep recording my impressions and keep sharing with you all. If you have any comments or questions, please do comment below. Until the next video, take care, stay safe, peace.